Hello and welcome to today's webinar. We are very thrilled to have you join us today. My name is Mouna Zaari. I'm a business consultant at Black Swan Business Setup Services, one of the leading corporate service providers in the UAE. We have other branches in Saudi Arabia, in Oman, and Bahrain. Alongside me today, my colleague, Tyreece Robinson, who is another business setup consultant. Tyreece, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. So just a quick introduction about business setup. As I mentioned, we are a leading corporate service provider in the UAE, but we do also help with setting up in other jurisdictions such as Saudi Arabia, Oman, Bahrain. Our core business is the company formation, but we do also provide a wide range of services such as residency visa, golden visa, dependent visa, bookkeeping and accounting. If a company needs to register, the trademark registration, also compliance support, also the personal and the corporate bank support, we can help with that. So Tyreece, in this webinar, we are going to explore together the business setup in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Please, what's the agenda?
So the topics that we'll go through today is the opportunities in Saudi Arabia, and it will also explain why businesses are thriving, and just a bit about the KSA's 2030 vision. Also setting up a company and the difference between mainland and free zone, and we'll explain that process. Also getting a premium iqama, which is an Arabic word for residency.
Exactly.
How to legally structure your business, and different company structures and business forms. Getting a bank account and setting up a corporate bank account for your business. And also at the end, we'll do a live Q&A session, just if any of the viewers have any questions that they might have missed when we was explaining everything that we've been talking about. So firstly, the businesses are thriving in Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of key factors to this, many of which are tied to the country's economic transformation and modernization efforts. So what they're trying to do is allow a lot more expat investors to come over and operate businesses, which will help their economy as well. So in the past, it's been a bit more difficult with a lot more restrictions on expat people coming over to open companies in Saudi Arabia. But with their 2030 vision, this blueprint, it revolves around increased foreign investment, and with this vision, it helps a lot of foreign expats come over and open up companies. There's certain developments such as the mega projects such as NEOM and the Red Sea project. These focus on tourism and entertainment sectors. They're giving this a big push. So when it comes to 2030 and many years to follow, that sort of sector has grown in a lot more of a rate than what it has right now. Also, with Saudi Arabia, it's obviously in a very strategic location in the Middle East with key shipping routes in a close proximity to Europe, Asia, and also Africa. So it makes it a prime location for international trade, logistics, and business operations. Also, the reforms in business. So the government has introduced reforms to ease business setup in countries and streamlining the registration process, and reduces a lot of bureaucratic hurdles foreign investors that are coming into the country. So just if I could ask you, Mouna, what should we know about the mainland and free zones setup background in the KSA?
So as in the UAE, mainland companies are also allowed for expats in Saudi Arabia. It is governed by the MISA, which is a Ministry of Investment, formerly known as SAGIA. So expats can freely run a business in Saudi Arabia, but they cannot be in Mecca and Medina. If they want to work globally, they are allowed to do that. So mainland companies, as you know, Tyreece, are the ideal option for businesses that want to engage more closely with customers. With the local markets. For example, opening a retail shop meets and consumer customers. So that's the main goal of having a mainland company. And the kingdom has several free zones, namely King Abdullah Economic City, Jazan. We have also another one called Jeddah Economic City. So, believe
Sorry to cut you there. So as an expat, would I be able to open a company in one of the KSA free zones?
Well, that's a good question because we usually get this question from our customers. Are expats allowed to open their businesses in Saudi Arabian free zones? Well, the foreign investment is welcomed, certainly welcome. However, it seems that there is a more selective approach. In other ways, these zones, kata business owners or businesses that could contribute to the country's strategic goals, like supporting the mega projects that you've mentioned in the beginning of your introduction, like the Trojena, the Red Sea project, which aims to make the coastline into a world-class tourism destination. So definitely, if the client is eligible to contribute to such things, then he will definitely get an invitation from the government. Okay.
So if I'm corrected, sorry, this is essentially like an invite basis.
Sorry.
So is this like an invite basis? If your company sort of looks like they're contributing to the economy, then the government can invite you to that.
Okay, definitely. Great. Well said. Yes. So now, Tyreece, if you don't mind, can you please walk us through the main company structures and business forms in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia?
Okay, right. So there are many company structures in KSA, such as sole proprietorship, joint stock for Saudi and GCC nationals. But the most common for expats is a subsidiary LLC, which means the owner's liability is limited their investment in the company. There are 3 different business forms in KSA: subsidiary, RHQ, which is regional headquarters, and a GCC sponsor. Just a bit about the subsidiary. This is the most common type of company, like I said. With this as well, there are also 2 license categories: services and trading. So you could have like IT services or food trading, for example. The service category license requirements. The company that you have, the parent company from either your home country or a different country that you're in, should be at least 1 year old and present in at least, obviously, one other country. Just a quick point on this as well. Any major consultancy activities, such as real estate consultancy, IT consultancy, these are only allowed for GCC passport holders. And also for the
expats cannot have this activity?
No, this would be for GCC passport holder only. So it wouldn't be 100% expat ownership. And as well, for an expat, the minimum share capital for this form is 50,000 Saudi riyals, and for a GCC owner, this is only 10,000. So it's a bit more price effective if you were to have a GCC sponsor for this type of company.
That's interesting. What about the trading category, Tyreece?
So This one's a bit different. There are a few more requirements, so it limits the amount of people that are actually qualifying for this. So for the trading category, the parent company should be at least 3 years old, but I'm present in 3 different countries instead of obviously your one for your services. The share capital for this is a lot more at 30 million Saudi riyals.
Perfect.
So yeah,
And
compared to the services, it's obviously a lot more. There are probably fewer trading companies that are expat owned, but it's still, you can still do this.
okay, just one quick note regarding the trading companies. The parent company should share its corporate documents. As you know, we have license, we have memorandum of association, power of attorney, board resolution, certificates of incorporation, if any, also the last year of audit report. All these documents should be attested in the MOFA and KSA embassy of the client's home country, and the same procedure will be done once again inside at the MOFA in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So this is a major point. Whereas the other companies, they're only required to share their license. That's it. Okay. And let's say for example, the client's country doesn't have any embassy. Then he has to check if the country has an apostille. Then only one attestation is required in this case. Okay, so that was just important thing.
That's just a bit on the expat form. So for a GCC sponsor, so this is a different company form. If the client obviously doesn't fulfill the requirements of the ones that I've just mentioned, for example, having 3 different companies in 3 different countries, you could have the GCC sponsor. So the GCC sponsor is named as the owner. So then if you was for your company, you would be appointed as a general manager. And it's just important to note on this that if you have this GCC sponsor named as the owner, what we could do as Black Swan, we can appoint an actual GCC passport holder to be the named owner of your company, and we can ensure that there won't be any interference within your work, because as a general manager, you would just continue business as usual. The GCC national is just a formality. So yeah, that's just a bit on the GCC sponsor. I will move on to a RHQ sponsor, which is regional headquarters. These are a bit of a different type of company. So if you are sort of doing business that aligns with the government projects, there's a requirement for this. You would have to have presence in 3 different countries, and 2 of them are in a GCC country or North Africa, like your home country.
Thank you.
Moving on from that, Mona, could you tell us a bit about the golden visa for the residency?
Well, there is something called premium Iqama. Iqama, which is, as you mentioned earlier, which is Arabic word of residency. Roughly speaking, it's a residency permit that allows foreign nationals to the right to live in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, to work, to run a business, and also own a property without requiring any sponsor. It is valid for 1 year. Okay, it costs annually 100,000 Saudi riyals, which is around 26,000 US dollars. Okay, however, the applicant should be at least 21 years old in order to be able to apply for such Iqama. Okay, so now if you can just take us, please, if you can highlight the process, the bank setup process over there. How is it?
So this is one of the last stages for actually forming your company. So after you would complete the general manager's residency visa, you would be required to be actually present in Saudi Arabia and to open this corporate bank account. And this would take around 7 to 10 days, I would say, 7 to 10 working days. The sort of documents that you would need are the CR, which is a commercial registration, the Memorandum of Association, the MOA, Chamber of Commerce certificate, and office lease contract as well, and then a tax registration certificate if you're applicable. So for the shareholder management details as well, you would need all passport copies of authorized signatories and the residency visa of the general manager. You need also a proof of address. So this could be a utility bill or a tenancy contract that you'll get once you get your office, and a board resolution that will authorize a bank opening and the signatories.
Perfect. Okay. So what would be the next topic, dear Tyreece?
So before our live Q&A session, could we just structure in a more clear way setting up a business in the KSA? Would you be able to go through the steps?
Definitely. So in a more clear structure, the business setup in KSA goes as follows. So the corporate documents that we mentioned earlier should be reviewed by the legal team in Saudi Arabia. Okay. So it must be assisted in the MOFA and in the KSA embassy of the client's home country. Okay, which they should be mailed to us for further attestation, as we mentioned. Okay, and additionally, these documents will have to be translated into legal Arabic language. Okay. The second step would be
that's from their home country to Arabic.
Sorry.
So that's from their home country's language to that legal Arabic language, right?
Exactly. If it's, for example, a Russian client, Russian documents, the Russian documents should be translated into Arabic language. If it's French documents, it should be translated into legal Arabic language. Then the MIS application should be submitted. Okay. Thereafter, the name approval, the article of association, and the commercial registration will have to be processed. And this stage takes around 2 months to be finalized. Okay. Afterwards, the company will have to appoint someone as its general manager. So he can be the authorized. Of course, we will proceed with his visa application. Last but not least, we will have to register the company to different Saudi portals like Kiwa, Mukim, Mudad. The Kiwa and Mukim are typically portals related to entry permits and residency, whereas Mudad is, it's like a payroll system, ensuring companies do comply with the Saudi labor law to make sure that the salary are transferred to the employees. So this is basically how is it regarding the business setup structure in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, great. Just as well, would you be able to tell us about the process of the general manager's visa application?
For the general manager, the first step would be the entry permits. I mean, our public officer, it's called the government relation officer in Saudi Arabia, will share a visa application number with the applicants. Afterwards, the applicants will have to undergo a medical test in his home country at a medical center that is certified by the GAMCA, which is the Gulf Association Approved Medical Center Association. Okay, and it is a mandatory health screening for all applicants. Otherwise, they won't be eligible to go through the whole process. Okay, and the next step will be a link that's going to be shared by us again to let the client fill in his information in the QA platform, the QA verification platform. If you can just give us, please, a simple explanation of the QA, please.
So the QVP, this is for verifying the qualifications for the job roles that people are actually coming into in Saudi Arabia. So like I mentioned with the 2030 Saudi vision, this obviously ensures that there are very highly skilled and qualified workers that are in the designated positions. So this is just part of their vision to enhance the recruitment quality as well.
And
So
that shows
overall,
their vision, the 2030 vision that you mentioned earlier, right?
Yeah. So this will obviously, in time, it will definitely improve the economy as well, and it will make sure that there are a lot more qualified and skilled workers in the designated positions.
No doubt about it. Perfect. So if you allow me to carry on, the last step for the GM visa application, the last step will be, the submission to VFS Global. Once the Kiwa and the medical center are done, then, the applicants will have to visit the VFS Global. It's a center that's how do we say, that helps with the visa services, etc. In some places it's called TLS, in other places it's called VFS. So they need to submit all this documentation with the VFS, and the VFS will have to share this documentation with the embassy for further verification and final approval, and of course visa stamping. Okay.
Okay, great.
Yes. So this is pretty much how it works for the GM application in Saudi Arabia. Now we can go, through our questions, Tyreece.
So yeah, I'll ask you the first question.
Okay.
So if I was an expat and I was opening a company, would I need to hire GCC nationals? Would I need to hire local Saudis to my company?
Will you have to hire a Saudi local in your company?
Yes.
Yes, because the Saudization applies to all companies in Saudi Arabia, and the third employee has to be a Saudi local. Okay.
So for every third one.
Sorry?
So for every third employee has to be Saudi?
Exactly. It has to be a Saudi as per the law. Okay. I have one quick question for you. How soon can expats get the company incorporated in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? If you can just give us some highlights.
Yeah, I can give you a breakdown of these stages. So
Yes.
approximately the MISA and the CR, company registration, will take around 15 working days. The longest part of it will be the general manager visa, which takes around 2 months. And then after that, the bank account will take 7 to 10 working days, like I mentioned earlier. So let's say in total, it should take maybe at least 3 months to actually open your company.
At least 3 months.
Yeah, so if I was an entrepreneur looking to open a company in Saudi, what are the sort of taxes and if there's any VAT that I have to be aware of? Would you be able to tell me sort of about these?
Yes, sure. We have, there is an Islamic tax called zakat. It's a sovereign Islamic tax which is applicable to all companies. Its rate is 2.5%. Okay. Obviously, there is a corporate tax of 20% for expats. However, it's not the same thing for when it comes to GCC owned. It's 0%. VAT remains the same, 10%. Okay. And we have also the withholding tax, which is 5 to 15% for all types of company forms.
Okay, great.
One last question. If I have a resident visa of, let's say, the UAE, as we are UAE residents, okay, do I have any restrictions in getting residence permits to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia?
There's not really many restrictions. You just have to apply for an e-visa So there were once that's applied for, there won't be any restrictions on getting into Saudi Arabia.
Okay, perfect. That was clear. I hope we have tackled all aspects of the KSA incorporation, company incorporation. So I think it's the end of this webinar. I hope it was a valuable and informative session. Thank you very much, Tyreece, for hosting this webinar with me. And we look forward, to hearing any queries from our clients. If they have anything, they can reach out to us through our websites and WhatsApp details. We will be happy to help them.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask us on either our social medias, or we could put our WhatsApp numbers obviously in the comments too. So yeah, it's like some people might have missed some bits of that. So we're always here to answer any questions that you need regarding KSA incorporation.
Not only KSA, Oman, Bahrain, and of course the UAE. So we'll be glad to help.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tyreece.
Thank you.